Hey, soul survivors, we are going to talk about why we keep attracting narcissists and what was a purpose in this discard or the things that we've gone through. Some of us, it wasn't a romantic relationship, it was maybe narcissistic parents. And we wonder, why did this happen to us? Some of us, unfortunately, were born into it, others came into it. And it gives us a life's lesson that we're meant to learn. And it's a hard lesson. But as we create our future, we do have some power with where we end up, that we learn from this lesson. Because if you are unhealed, you're going to keep attracting toxic people. So if you had narcissistic parents, you might feel that you were never good enough, and you're going to become a people pleaser, or you're going to pick up their traits and become a narcissist. So either way, there's off balance. And if you were in a narcissistic love relationship and it went south, a lot of times we get discarded and we look at it like, what did we do wrong? What we need to listen to is, and I don't like the way I just said that, but what we need to learn is that we have given too much. And as a child, you felt you had to, but we're adults now and we don't have to give that much. So the way it works is we're trying to heal someone because that's when we felt loved, or we felt a necessity to heal our parents if our parents weren't, if they had some narcissistic traits, things like that, or some mental illness. So we go to whatever extreme. If we were this damaged from it, we go to the high extremes and we try to balance those people out. If we were a little damaged, these are the people that we're attracted to balance it out. So depending on the level of damage that you had done is what you're going to attract. You're going to attract the opposite. Once you get healthy, you attract something that works, something that is healthy, that allows you to stay stable. So when we give too much, that's a lesson that we're meant to learn. We are giving too much, and it's hard not to be a people pleaser because we feel it's our responsibility, or we see it can be fixed. It can be fixed if people communicate and agree to things or compromise on things, but the narcissist will not do that. And we're trying to fill some type of trauma, some lesson that we didn't learn as a child. Some weren't unable to learn, we're unable to learn it because their parents were too overpowering. So we feel meek in a sense, and we allow people to overpower us because that's what we felt as a child. What you felt as a child is what is home. So we got to recreate our home. We have to recreate this home that is balanced. It doesn't have to be the best. So we don't have to be the best housekeeper, the best husband or wife, the best, the best, the best. We just have to be where we're trying our best and where we allow the balance to come to a full balance. So when we continually push it, we start, and it's with the narcissist too, you know, the toxicity. So as we're giving more, they're giving less. And we get to this balance, that love bombing stage, and then it gets way off kilter. We're about to leave, so they bounce it back up. They love bomb us. And it's just a pendulum that continually swings. It never gets to this comfort level because we have unhealed traumas where we have to save things. So we try to save things and they take advantage of it. And then they start expecting it. And then they start putting us down, and you know, anything we do isn't good enough. They're trying to deal with their pain, and they deal with their pain by expecting us to heal it. We're not healers. We are humans that want to have a loving relationship. We're not gods. We can't fix everything. And a lot of us give this unconditional love. Some of us had that. But also when we had that, maybe we didn't grow enough. I came from a very, when I was 8 years old, my father got extremely religious. So I'm extremely sheltered. And that causes me, unfortunately, to make poor decisions sometimes. It's not that I'm book smart, but I am not street smart. So it was kind of to my detriment. I skittish away from things that maybe I shouldn't, and I don't understand things I should. So even the most loving parents can give you some detriments. So we're meant to find out what our boundaries are, and we have to understand it. What are our boundaries? Do we want a religious person on par with us, or does that not matter? Some people, it doesn't matter. Do we want some people in the same race, or it doesn't matter? Whatever it is that you need for you, different belief systems, and where you want to go in life, and what you want in a partner. Are you sacrificing things because you fell in love with an alcoholic, but they make you feel all warm and fuzzy? Is that what you want? Do you want to be with an alcoholic? Maybe you're a heavy drinker. If you are a heavy drinker, you probably won't mind as much. But why are you drinking? More than socially. And, are they a good influence on you too? And people get caught up in things because of the people that they're around. There's that peer pressure happens even in adulthood, or you think you can handle it, maybe you can't. Addictions happen. It changes things in your brain. And it also changes your health. And when your health starts to go off, you don't feel good. And then you feel like you can't perform things. And sometimes you're angry at yourself. We feel anger from our narcissist, but now we're starting to feel anger at ourselves. And that's partially because we're starting not to feel healthy. And when we don't have our boundaries or our cup refilled from that person, we tend not to see how much they are taking, because we're like, I'm sure they appreciate it, because we appreciate things when we get it. We appreciate it. We don't take it for granted. We say thank you. We appreciate it. We want to send, thank you cards, or at least a text or whatever. But this is where it's sad, is when we are down here to compensate for what we want to do, save the world, whatever it is we want to do, we go to that balance. But we have a lot of friends, a lot of people that care about us, that are healthy. But we're looking up here. And it also, they're looking for us. They will look for us. We are the narcissist's perfect target. So in the healing process, we have to build ourselves back up and realize that this is a lesson that we have to go through. And if you are religious, a lot of us get mad at God, but this is quite possibly God leading us to the best life possible. We have to remember that. And if you're not religious, maybe it's the universe, or maybe it's your choices that lead you to a better life. And I know sometimes religion, do I leave my husband or wife? Till death do us part. But when it's toxic and causing brain damage, it's something to think about. I personally, I have a hard time with, I would love to do the death, till death do us part, where you find somebody and you just love them so wholeheartedly and you get that back, where it is a life commitment. But I don't see God. If somebody, let's say I had a toxic husband and he's got a gun to my head, I don't see God saying you can't leave your husband. That's just me, I told you guys, it's probably 3-4 weeks now that my friend had her husband shot her to death. And, there are toxic relationships, and, when we stay in things, we've missed some lessons. So if you are out of a toxic relationship, you didn't end up like my friend. You ended up where I see it as you were chosen to live a better life, to escape the brutality that can ensue. And when we learn the lesson of having boundaries, and giving maybe a little bit more, but not to where we give everything we have. And when the narcissist is with us, we keep trying. And that also offsets the balance. And we just want to get it back, but we get so needy that it's almost impossible to handle it in a healthy situation. For one thing, the narcissist isn't receptive to it, but also what's going on in our brain makes us in desperation mode. And we either text way too much, where we don't give them a chance to come to us. We can have abandonment issues because of that CPTSD, the brain fog. So once that brain fog starts settling in, the narcissist can use that gaslighting and word salad to their advantage, because we're like, wait, did I remember it right? And I haven't been sleeping. Maybe I didn't get enough sleep to remember what they said. And we start questioning everything. And it starts to drive you crazy. I had this one lady, I was going to interview her. My nephew is studying psychedelics, and I don't know quite how I feel about it, but he's committing his life to psychedelics as far as mental illness and how that helps. But she had posted on Facebook, and she's been having some suicidal thoughts, and she's going through a lot of things. So she has tried ketamine, and I was trying to interview her just so we can see, just to be aware of what is out there and make our own best knowledgeable decisions on some things that may be available, may be helpful. And she had the most horrifying experience. I believe it was 2 days after. I was going to do a live chat with her, but she ended up getting so bad that she had to go into a psychiatric ward, that she felt like she was going to be killed. And she said it seemed so real. So I'm still kind of Facebooking her to see if they think it was the ketamine, or if it was, she's been suicidal for quite a while and she's sticking around, trying to be strong, trying to deal with that. But mental illness happens where sometimes you don't see things quite the right way, depending on what type of mental illness we have. And CPTSD falls into that, where our brain is not healthy, and we start maybe having paranoias, maybe and someone with a narcissist, this is where it gets so tricky, is we have no clue what the truth is. And there are some ways to get to the bottom of it. I have a really good way of seeing, based on word patterns, the certain word choices. It's amazing what you can see when you really analyze it, but when you're caught up in the middle of it, it's real hard to see. So, don't blame yourself for the way that the relationship went south, for not seeing red flags, for believing a person who is lying to you. There are body language things that can help. Also, like I said, the word patterns to see who is lying, who is not. But the narcissist is so good at it, and they will make false documents to prove their position, and we have this trust. So are we too trusting? Are we too trusting? I've been too trusting to where I've gotten in some real bad situations. Sometimes I'm way too skittish, so I'm probably protecting myself, but I'm also not as social as I should be. But where's the balance? That this is our lesson. And even though it hurts, we should have gotten out a long time ago, but because of that trauma bond, we stayed. And this is our lesson to spot those red flags. And I'm proud of you guys for being here, or searching other YouTubers or Google or whatever you are searching to get those answers. And I know a lot of you, just like if you're like me, hours upon hours upon hours daily, searching and listening and trying to understand, because it is a concept that is so off balance to us. Like, what do you mean they didn't love us? Like, how do you not connect with people? Because we are super connectors. And, we get attached sometimes too soon too, but that's because of that love bombing stage. that you always hear, if it's too good to be true, probably is. That sometimes we have to think about it. You know, somebody makes $40,000 a year and they're offering to take us to Paris on the third date. Is that kind of a red flag? That's a great trip. You get all excited. They love me so much. They completely paid for it. But is that like a normal thing that somebody who makes 40,000 a year would do? We have to think. We have to stop and think about that. You know, trip to Florida maybe, but you know, and this is the thing, not all narcissists do the extravagant gifts and travel. Sometimes it's just so nice to have somebody call us all the time and text us and see how we're doing. But that devaluation stage will happen in an instant. It could happen if they see somebody in their eyes. We all have different things of beauty. Some of you might think I'm the most gorgeous person in the world. Some of you could think I'm butt ugly. Everybody has different perceptions of what beauty is, but your narcissist maybe in their eyes see somebody sexier. And sometimes the attitude is sexier, but whatever it is, or maybe they have more money or they have more social connections. The narcissist is all about the supply. And, you know, we shouldn't worry so much about the new supply because they're targets. They're targets. Like, we are jealous of somebody who's going to be abused. You have to really think about that. We're jealous of somebody who's being abused. The narcissist hasn't changed. Just like in that love bombing stage, when things are peaches and cream, it's going to spoil. It's not going to stay that way. And that's the narcissistic cycle. So when you were in that devaluation low stage, they could have cycled back up to love bombing, but they can kind of see the pattern too. And we're trying, the more they do that, the worse we get, the more we need validation, the more we need to understand. And eventually, usually it's around 7 times a discard, they don't bump it back up. They start somebody new. And they'll often do it in like that last cycle. They'll start to devalue you. And as soon as they have that second supply, the new supply, that's when it cycles and they cross over. So that's just the cycle. And there's so many temptations in this world. There are more and more temptations each and every day with, you know, the ease of the internet, the ease of Tinder and different dating sites, and, you know, excuses. I have to travel for work, or even just lying. You know, they could say they live in New York and I'll be in town. You live in Chicago, I'll be in town only once a month, but I'd love to hook up with you. And they can live right down the street. There's fake profiles. There's so many scams out there that, you know, I saw Sam Backman, and he's extremely intelligent. I don't know if you guys have seen him. A lot of you probably have, but he said 90% of people lie, and 90% of, what was it? Wait, what people say, 90% of what people say are lies. And of those lies, 90% of the lies are believed. So I don't know the exact study, you know, just like, oh, I'm having a good day, and I'm not. That's a lie. Sometimes too, you might ask me, you know, what'd you do today? I'm like, oh, I just had some coffee and I sat and read a book. It was just kind of a boring day. Well, I forgot to tell you I went to the mailbox, or I went for a walk around the block. So in a sense, it might be considered a lie in that study. But as those things trickle down, that you might say, oh, Cynthia, she never does anything. She never goes outside. And I don't know if that would be considered a lie, because I do go outside. I went to my mailbox, but I just didn't tell you. I also went for a walk. So is that considered a lie or a mistruth? Because you didn't know, you know? And then it just, you know, it could be they said it to a boss, you know, somebody who might think about me as an employee, and they're like, oh, she never goes outside. She must be super lazy. And they're going to form these opinions in their head. So each little thing, that's that butterfly effect, where I might just not want to bother you with the details. And so I don't bother you with those details, but then it affects something in my life that I never thought would have. So and dealing with so many people in society, you can't sit there and say, I took a shower and then I folded my towel and I kindly put it in, or gently put it in my laundry basket. I thought about doing my laundry, and we don't do that because we're so busy. And also the change in perception of what the family unit is, that men and women are becoming more and more incompatible with the roles, and the need where women, it's nice because I'm single, I can work. I'd like to be Susie Homemaker, but my name's not Susie. So, but where the balance is off, that we are trying to achieve independence and careers, and in a sense it's nice, but it's also throwing off the balance, and unless it turns into that power struggle. So we'll get more into that. But as far as the healing process, this is your life's lesson. And we can either fail it, and repeat this test or course or lesson, or we can learn from it. If we do not learn from it or heal from it, we're stuck. And I want you guys to graduate. I want you guys to live your life the way it's meant to be lived. This is a lesson. But if we don't learn it, a lot of you know I'm a teacher. Just like if you don't learn what you need to learn in 4th or 5th grade, you're held back. So whether it's God holding us back, or the universe, or ourselves, we're being held back for a reason. Because if you pass a child through all those levels, they're going to graduate at maybe a 2nd grade level because they get too overwhelmed and they're pushed through the system. And that's where they're going to be stuck, unable to perform or have what they should have. We're being held back. And sometimes that's the most loving thing, is to be held back. It might not be what we want. I mean, think back to grade school, high school. If you were failing, you might not have wanted to be held back. You wanted to stay with your friends, you wanted to progress, but that's to your detriment. So we're being held back. That group of friends, they moved on. Our narcissist moved on. We're here to learn that lesson. It's only going to make us stronger. And if you think about it, when you repeat that, when you heal from that lesson, you have the foundation to go on to the next step. Maybe that's eventually dating or building more friendships, but you have the knowledge you need. You take that knowledge, you either get stuck here or you move forward to the next lesson. Life's about lessons. That's what molds us. That's what changes us. That's what gives us personality, and just, all the little twists and turns in life. Some things hurt. Like I would have been devastated if I had to be held back in high school. That is not what I would have wanted. Luckily, I paid attention, or I had the knowledge and the willpower to go through. But right now, do we have the willpower to learn the lesson? And that's part of the 5 stages of grief. And we're going to be okay. We didn't want to be held back. We didn't want to be stuck until we learn. So welcome to summer school, guys. We're going to get through this together. Please like and subscribe, and look at it as summer school. Just something we got to do, and then we'll be okay. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.